Welcome to Her Subconscious Blueprint, your no BS space for subconscious healing, bold breakthroughs, and manifestations. I'm Jen Boyd, hypnotherapist, mindset coach, and your new healing hype girl. Okay, let's go there today. This episode is inspired by a quote that has sat with me for years. One that I didn't really fully understand the first time that I heard it, but I knew it was so powerful. It's from the late and great Wayne Dyer. Maybe you've heard of him. He's one of the OG thought leaders in spiritual growth, manifestation, and intentional living. He said, "The man who has nothing has everything." And another quote of him that lives rent-free in my head is, "Have a mind that is open to everything, but attached to nothing." And when I first heard that, I was like, wait, what? What do you mean the man who has nothing has everything? That doesn't even make any sense, right? It sounds backwards. But the more I thought about it and the more I sat with it, the more it unlocked something for me. As I read more of his work, I started to understand he wasn't talking about lack. He was talking about freedom, the kind that only comes where you're no longer attached to what we have or what we think we need to have in order to feel safe, worthy, or whole. Wayne Dyer, if you don't know anything about him, he literally sold everything he owned, his books, his clothes, his furniture, even his shoes, and he moved to Hawaii with next to nothing. Not because he was giving up, but because he was waking up. His journey was about releasing the grip of identity through stuff. When we no longer define ourselves by what we own, we unlock a kind of spiritual freedom that this world rarely teaches us to pursue. And that is exactly what I want to talk about today. Because this concept, it is life-altering. Stick with me, I promise. Especially if you grew up in a home where money was tight or tense or traumatic or, like me, used as control. But let me be very clear before we go deeper. I love nice things. I love beauty. I love quality. I love good design and luxury. This isn't about shaming the desire for those things. It's about getting radically honest about why we desire them, what we believe they're giving us, what role they're playing in our healing or our numbing. It isn't about rejection at all. It's about decoding your attachment to it. What you think it's giving you, what you think it says about you, what voids or wounds you're trying to soothe or fill. Because here's the truth. Things do not equal abundance. We think they do, but that is a lie we've all been fed. This podcast isn't about collecting more. It's about becoming more grounded, more present, more whole. That is the real abundance, my friend. The kind that doesn't come from chasing, performing, or collecting, but from becoming. And yet, we live in a world that says the complete opposite. We live in a culture that shouts, more is better, bigger house, fuller calendars, faster cars, shinier status symbols. The world teaches us to chase, to fill every corner of our homes with shit, every single open availability in our schedule, every inch of our being with more. But somehow, the more we fill, the more empty we seem to feel. We scroll and scroll, admiring what others have, wondering why we don't have it, yet forgetting that there was a time, maybe even just 5 years ago, when what we have now was all we wanted. And we miss it. We miss the miracle of our now because we're trapped in the mindset of not enough. And in doing so, we completely forget how much we already have. So, I want to ask you something real, something that you probably need to sit with. Are you really chasing more? Or are you chasing relief, acceptance? Because most of us, we don't actually want the luxury car or the designer bags or the upgraded kitchen. What we want, we think those things will give us safety, confidence, validation, freedom, status quo, maybe even envy. But when you grow up in a household where money was a source of fear, scarcity, control, you absorb the message that what you have is who you are. You grow into an adult who tries to fix that wound by performing abundance. You spend to feel safe. You hustle to feel worthy. You overachieve to feel lovable. You keep up with everyone else because deep down, you're terrified of being seen as less. And I know this cycle so well because I lived it. Bought the outfits to feel like I belong. I've said I deserve this after a hard day, knowing it wasn't in alignment. I've walked into Target for toilet paper and walked out with $300 worth of emotional Band-Aids. Shit I'd never even needed. Let's just be honest. Most of us, we're not shopping for things. We're shopping for comfort. We're shopping for a version of ourselves we think exists just on the other side of that purchase. And studies back this up. Over 60% of people admit to emotional spending. And I would even bet to say even higher than 60%, making purchases to improve their mood. It's not a bad habit. It's a coping mechanism. But no matter how many things we buy, they'll never fill the void created by unhealed beliefs about who we are. Most of us aren't shopping for stuff. We're shopping for comfort, for worth, for a break from the discomfort of being with ourselves. And that's why Wayne Dyer's message is so powerful. The man who has nothing has everything. Because he is not owned by desire. He's not seeking validation through status. He doesn't confuse self-worth with net worth. You can have $1 million in your bank account and still feel poor. I've seen it in so many women who are on the outside looking in. They seem to have it all. The house, the career, the curated Instagram feed. And yet, they're afraid to check their bank account. They're still emotionally living paycheck to paycheck. And let me drop a truth bomb. Your financial reality is never just about your income. It's about your inner world. If your subconscious mind doesn't feel safe holding money, it will find ways to get rid of it. you'll sabotage, you'll overspend, you will undercharge, you will stay in cycles that drain you. Not because you're irresponsible, but because you're protecting yourself from a deeper fear, a deeper wound. Money becomes the scapegoat for all the pain that we haven't processed. So we numb with Amazon. We soothe with food. We self-medicate with Netflix and scrolling and spending. We look at someone else's highlight reel and we feel behind, not even realizing they might be deep in debt, crying behind the scenes, wondering how they'll make rent this month. That's the lie, that having more means you're more. That's a wound. And like all wounds, it needs healing, not hustle. Here's the truth. Abundance, it doesn't come from having everything and having more. It comes from needing nothing to feel whole, to feel seen, to feel like you are enough. And when I say that, I don't mean never having a desire. Desire is beautiful, but desire without attachment, that is where the power lives. Let me give you one of the most simplest, but most powerful, transformative practices that will help you shift this. And that is gratitude. I know, it sounds basic, but it's not. When I first read Happy Money by Ken Honda, he talks about how money holds energy. And I've talked about this in so many other episodes. Money is just energy. And when we spend in fear, we receive in fear. When we spend with guilt, we receive with guilt. But when we spend with gratitude, we invite more peace and more flow. And he teaches this beautiful practice. Every time money leaves your hand, you say arigato. And every time it comes in, you say arigato. It means thank you in Japanese. And it turns money into an energetic exchange of appreciation. I talked about this deeper in episode 4 if you want to go back and listen. But I started doing this with every bill. Instead of resenting my electric bill, I'd say, thank you, electricity, for letting me light this home. Instead of dreading the grocery shopping or the Costco runs, I'd whisper, thank you for the food, for nourishing my family. And it changed everything for me. Gratitude shifts your frequency. It rewires you from scarcity into sufficiency. And when you live in sufficiency, you don't make decisions from lack or fear. You make them from love. And another practice that I use quite often is question your desire. Pause before you buy. Ask yourself, am I buying this because I need it or because I'm uncomfortable? Am I doing this for me or to impress someone else? Is this in alignment with my truth or is it a reflex to avoid a feeling? This is how we start healing our money wounds. Not by budgeting harder, but by getting radically honest about what we're actually trying to fix. Because here's the truth. You don't perform abundance. Abundance isn't a thing. It's a feeling. It's how you feel. You can feel wealthy with $20 in your account if your heart is full. And you can feel poor as fuck with $2 million if your soul is empty. True wealth is about alignment, not appearance. You are not behind because you don't have what she has. You are not broken if you're still healing your relationship with money. You're not bad with money. You just haven't been taught to see money as an emotional experience, not just a logical one. And I want to share something that recently hit home for me. I was full on decluttering my house, like full on. Pull everything out of the closet. I was in a mode to declutter and clean it all out. And I looked around at the boxes and the bags and the stuff, and I thought, why? Why do we have all of this? At one point, these things felt like celebrations, like trophies, like proof I was growing. But now I look at them and I think, would I trade a designer bag for an amazing vacation with my kids and my family? A trip we'll talk about for the rest of our lives? Absolutely, without hesitation, I would trade that in a second. Because wealth isn't the label on the bag. It's the memories and the experiences we create. It's the time we share. Time is the one thing we cannot get back. It's the moments that ground us. Because true wealth is time, freedom, presence, and peace. And when you stop asking, what can I afford? And instead you start asking, what actually matters? When we stop consuming to cope and start curating to connect, we break the cycle. Wealth is laughter around a dinner table. It's the look on your child's face when they see the ocean for the first time. It's peace in your heart, not perfection in your closet. So now when I make a purchase, I check in. I ask, am I avoiding something? Am I chasing something? Or am I choosing something aligned with the life I want to build? When we heal our money wounds, when we stop coping with consumption and start curating connection, we stop chasing and start choosing. We choose presence over pressure, memories over materials, self-worth over performance. This is the new wealthy. Let's call this the new wealthy woman energy. That is what it means to live in overflow, not from more stuff, but from less attachment. That's what Wayne Dyer meant when he said, the man who has nothing has everything. Because when you are no longer attached, you are free. When you don't need things to validate you, you show up with clarity, confidence, and truth. So as we close today, I want to ask you, where are you still performing? What are you still trying to prove? What would it feel like if you just let go? What if just for today, you let it be enough? What if you defined abundance not by how full your closet is, but how full your heart is? What if you stopped chasing and started choosing? Because you, my friend, you are already enough. You already have everything you need to feel whole. You are not here to prove. You're here to remember who the fuck you are. And when you do, when you live from that energy of abundance, abundance doesn't just visit, it stays. So, what if, just for today, you let it be enough? Imagine yourself 5 years from now. You're sitting at a table with people you love, and you feel calm, safe, and free. You're not thinking about your bills. You're not worried about what's next. You're fully present. That version of you, she's not worried about what she lacks. She's too full of peace to chase anything. That is what true wealth feels like. And you can choose it now, not later, not when the money comes, not when you've made it. That's the goal. That's what Wayne Dyer meant. And that's the version of you that gets to receive with ease because she already knows she's enough. And I hope that sits with you today, and I hope you know that you are enough. You have always been enough, and you will always be enough. And if you want to take this even further, I will link my hypnosis below to help you bring that full version of you alive. The one that knows that she is enough, that doesn't need to chase, that now attracts. And I am so full of love and gratitude that I get to share my story with you. This is her subconscious blueprint, where we don't just chase the dreams, we become them. And remember, you don't get what you want, you get who you are. So go out and be that version today. Much love and gratitude. I will see you next time.